Holding the powerful accountable from Washington, D.C. to right here in southern New England. This is 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gene Valicenti. This is a special 10 News Conference Decision 2023 debate with the candidates running for mayor of Fall River. We're dispensing with opening statements, though we will have closers. I'll question the candidates. We're free to exchange back and forth in a civil fashion. It's largely up to them to defend themselves and fact-check each other. I'm here to moderate, keep it moving, and our timekeepers in the back will work to keep it balanced. All right, on the ballot is incumbent Mayor Paul Coogan wants another term, and former Mayor Sam Sutter wants to come back, reclaim that office. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in. We have a live shot of Fall River every night on the news. It says, "Viva Fall River." So Viva Fall River, that's a nice way to start. In Fall River, Mayor, you're going to get you go last in the closing statements. You'll get first you'll get our first question. Mayor, how many migrants do you have in Fall River? Where are they? And is that tenable? And should your state get rid of the right to shelter law?
I would favor a suspension of the right to shelter law for a little while. I told one of the lieutenant governor that the other day. Just a suspension until we know where we are. Fall River, I called our school department the other day, the parent center. We haven't registered any migrants at this time. I read a number the other day of 71. I don't see that around. There are people obviously moving here that have sponsors, from what I've been told, but they're not registering students in school, which would be an indicator for us. And right now, I don't think we're at that point. We only have one hotel in the city, and I know that's running at about an 85% occupancy rate. So we may not have room that the state's traditionally using, but we'll play along and see how we can help coming down the road.
So you support suspending right to shelter?
They have to put a moratorium on it, because I read this morning where Kim Driscoll said we are full in every shelter. I don't know where these people are going to go, and we want them to have something safe and livable to go into.
Okay. Mayor Sutter, same thing.
Well, we've been going at it now for the last two nights, and this is an area where we're close to agreement, but there's a larger issue. So obviously, we can't take the migrants right now. We have a housing crisis, a rents crisis. So I agree with the mayor about the suspension, but we strongly disagree about the situation with housing in Fall River and rents in Fall River. We have got to do something about the soaring rents in Fall River, Gene. So we have a homelessness problem that is increasing because of the rents issue, but more than that, we have people who are just suffering because they can't afford the increasing rent costs. So this mayor, for whatever reason, I'm sure he's about to tell me, turned down the opportunity. There was a $400 million affordable housing trust fund. He passed on that. I haven't heard why. And he got $90 million in federal money that you're aware of, the American Rescue Plan Act. The mayor of New Bedford has set aside somewhere between $10 and $20 million of that money to do something about affordable rents. This mayor has not done that at all. So no to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. He turned that down. No to using the American Rescue Plan money for rents. And it's just completely unacceptable when you see what's happening to our renters.
Okay, we started with migrants. You shifted the debate to the homeless and affordable housing.
The renters, the homeless I'm very concerned about, but the renters.
Okay.
75% of the people in Fall River rent.
Right.
All right. 25% own single-family homes.
I was going in that direction next, but go ahead, Mayor. He kind of opened it up. You want to take the homeless first, and then you could go on these complaints about affordable housing and the renters. Go ahead.
Regretfully, Sam knows very little about the homeless. I've never seen him involved in feeding the homeless, helping to bring clothing to them. I've been in every homeless camp in the city of Fall River that I know of to try to work with these people to get them treatment, housing in some cases, clothing, contacts. We give them phone cards, we give them meal cards. We do our best to support them. But if they're criminals, we tell our police we do not want them on the streets. My position is Fall River has an outreach team, which includes a policeman, 2 outreach workers, and they're in the camps all the time. I support them by going in and seeing what it's like firsthand. The coldest day of the year last year, at about 7 in the morning, Mike Dion and I were out in the homeless camp near Brayton Avenue, where we saw an individual that we were concerned about. He had an electric blanket and a little generator so he could make it. But we were driving people to shelters on those nights. Regretfully, Sam has been absent on this issue for the last 8 or 9 years. He parachutes into this campaign with no contributions, no contributions. I've seen firemen feeding our homeless. I've seen citizens feeding our homeless. I've never seen him engaged at all.
Okay, would you move to affordable housing? That was the second part of his complaint with regard to renters, and then I'll let Sam get back in.
Right now, affordable housing, we have 5 proposals in front of the Attorney General's office for multifamily housing that we work with community development on, that we're going to rehab and make affordable housing. We have 28% of our units right now in the city of Fall River have some kind of an affordability attachment to it. I have no idea what percentage he wants to take it to. I favor a city that's a third subsidized or affordable, a third middle class, and then some high-end units. When you get a mixed population, that's the best way to support your restaurants, your retail, all the industry in the city. We need people to come in for jobs, recreation, and live in our city, and we need to cover everybody across the swath.
Okay, Sam Sutter, he's suggesting you're insensitive to the homeless. He hasn't seen you helping.
Ridiculous. So I visited the camps. He tore down the tents outside Walmart. I visited the camps. I was at a camp about a few weeks ago that's
for the campaign.
Hold on a second now. So you too.
Let him.
At the end of Kennedy Park. So what he does know, and what he can't explain, is that the homeless gather outside my office every single day. I know many of them by first name. I talk to them about their situation. Ray told me we need a better opportunity for people like himself to go get a shower and a shave and go to the bathroom in the morning. That's something I'm going to do. I told Ray, I told Kevin, I told Sue, I told Mike. These are people I know on a first name basis. Who hang out at the tables outside my office, who get warm in the parking garage. I've said to them, here's my simple pledge to you. My simple pledge to you is, if I'm elected mayor, and I think I will be on November 7, I'm going to take steps to make your life better. And it begins with a plan. He doesn't have a plan for homelessness. He doesn't have a plan for crime. But let me talk to you about rents.
Is he going to
I just want to finish up. I want to
30
finish up with
seconds
rents.
on his notion that it ought to be a third, and a third affordable, a third middle class, and a third upper class for your city. Is that a good mix?
That's just a statement without any backings. This is what I say. 75% of the people in Fall River rent. And he's not doing anything for them. He's in the pocket of the developers. He wants to sell the Armory to Alan Macumber, who gave him $4,100 over the last few years. That's his mode of operation. That's not mine, okay? I'm for the renters. I'm going to do something about their rents. I'm going to have a systematic plan to reach out to the landlords to get them on board with controlling the rents so we don't lose good people like Jennifer Medeiros and New Bedford and Mr. Paiva to suffering. So these are real stories.
We're pretty equal. Go ahead. Take about 30 seconds, then we'll go to break and we'll get to other topics.
This is, you might as well read Lord of the Rings. He parachutes in to talk to homeless outside of his office, and that's services. I have no idea what he's talking about. If someone's on the street, you talk to them. We go out, we put them in cars. We bought a shower van so we could bring them to the homeless camps to let them have a
He's the mayor. Of course he should be doing things. These are
Am I gonna
human
be
beings that
interrupted?
I'm dealing with every day. I'm not parachuting.
We want spirited. We want spirited.
Come
but
on,
let's let
I
everybody
feel
speak.
bad for you.
Come
Just
on,
let me
Paul,
talk.
give me a break.
Let me talk.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. You're very gracious to
Thanks.
allow me to have my own
Thanks.
time.
Let's get to it.
Wow.
Stick to the truth.
You don't know what that is. My
ahead,
position is we buy the things that are necessary to try to improve their lot in life. When we tore down a camp, it was because we gave the people 8 weeks notice that property was being claimed back by the people that wanted it. They wanted them off. We rehoused them. By the time we got there was probably 12 people living there. There was one individual left that we ended up putting up in a hotel. He makes it sound like it's some kind of an insensitive move. We work with our homeless. We don't go out to the bench and say, what's your name? We have work to do, and we have to get them jobs, treatment, and whatever else can make their lot better in life.
I'm going to bring one of them to the next debate. We'll ask them what they think of my heart for them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to hold it there. Time will fly by, especially the spirited debate. Quick break. We'll be right back with other issues, including offshore wind, rail service, and whether or not Boston cares about the South Coast. Stay with us.
Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
In studio with us today, the candidates running for mayor of Fall River. Incumbent Mayor Paul Coogan wants another term. Former Mayor Sam Sutter wants to come back. Sam Sutter, this question for you. Under your opponent, the schools have, fill in the blank.
Foundered. The schools have stayed in the same place. We're 335 out of 351. He's not addressing the underlying problems that lead to Fall River's public schools not being good enough. We have a problem with teacher retention. We have a problem with chronic absenteeism. We have a problem with violence in the classroom. He spent decades in the school department, although he never really taught, according to my information. But the fact of the matter is that progress has not been shown. And his explanation for why there hasn't been progress was shocking to me. Maybe he can tell it to you. I don't want to quote him when I can't play a tape. But the fact of the matter is he's had a career in the public schools in Fall River, and he's had 8 years now. 4 on the school committee, 4 as the chairman of the school committee, and the schools aren't improving. And that will never happen on my watch, because both in the public sector and the private sector, I have always shown steady improvement.
Okay, Mayor, he's giving you an F, it sounds like, and you wanted just to spell this point on. Did you teach in the public school system?
Of course I did.
You're a long-time educator.
I did. Of course, I feel bad that Sam's information is wrong. My first 2 years were in St. Vincent's Home as a special education teacher. And then when I went to Durfee, I taught the vocational programs for, I think, my first 2 or 3 years there also. So I don't know. Again, he's never really accurate, but that's the way he talks.
All right.
My position is he knows exactly what went on in the public schools, because he's told me 10 or 12 times how impressed he was when he was at my last graduation in 15 and the crowd was chanting Coogan, Coogan, Coogan. I worked with those kids day in, day out, and I made sure I connected with the families. He couldn't find a school with a roadmap. My position is I'm in the schools this year. Yesterday I was in another elementary school. I walk around at one, 2, or 3 schools every single week to find out what's going on. We have a very challenging population that was whacked senseless by COVID. Right now, with the Student Opportunity Act, the funding in our schools has never been this high, and we're addressing our reading shortcomings and our math shortcomings. I just got reports yesterday that most of our data points are going in the right direction. He wouldn't know that because he couldn't find a school to go in or talk to somebody. When he was on the school committee as chairman, I never saw him in a school then.
Okay.
Of course, he'll say he was in one every day because that's how he talks, but that's not accurate.
You have a right to rebut, Sam. Go ahead. Then we're moving on to crime.
I didn't even know who he was before 2015. That's how absent he was. I was district attorney from 2007 to 2014 and mayor in 2015. I never saw him anywhere, so I don't know what he was doing. But what I can tell you is this. This is the hard fact. Look at the data. The schools aren't improving. And when I was district attorney, everything improved. Gun violence went down, house breaks went down, volunteerism within my office increased, cold cases were solved. When I was mayor, I consistently brought new business into the city, finalized Amazon, brought the market basket, brought the development of the mall. When I'm doing something, I'm always showing improvement. He's had 8 years on the school committee, as the chairman of the school committee, no improvement. So he can use whatever excuse he wants. I'm going to tell the people of Fall River this. In one term, with me as mayor, you're going to see improvement. Improvement that you can look at and say, yes, that's improvement.
Okay, let's move on to another topic.
Well,
Mayor,
let's make sure we're clear on something. Crime with him, this is his...
I was going to crime,
All right,
Mayor.
so let's look at
How
it.
about this? Let me set
Okay,
it up.
go right ahead.
Under my watch as mayor, crime has, you fill it in.
Crime has stayed pretty flat and neutral. He came up with some numbers that he got from a policeman one night at a neighborhood meeting, and he ran with those. This is the data for all property crime when he was district attorney. It goes right across the board. He knows full well that he was disengaged when he was district attorney. If you could find him in an office, you got extra pay that week. He was never around. He did very, very little.
That's a joke.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Okay, you're going to keep interrupting?
No, but
Mayor,
when you say something
it
like
would help
that,
if you would substantiate.
Okay,
that.
so
He
what I'm
was the
saying
Right.
is he was the DA, but he
Yeah.
was an absent district attorney.
my
He ran
gosh.
from the Aaron Hernandez case. He had his workers. This is his idea of work. He told his workers that if they held signs for him on the street corners, that counts as community service. I'm waiting for the email to confirm it today. That was one of his programs that he touted, his community work in the neighborhood.
Right. Okay, Mayor, that graphic that you held up,
right.
What are you saying that is?
That's his term when he was mayor.
It
Crime
looks
was at an all-time high, diminishing. Look how it's gone since we've gone into office. It's going
okay,
down.
so you're saying on the left is his term and on the right is you.
No, in the end, when 1920 are ours. I'll give them to you, Gene, after. You can have them for your show.
All right, go ahead.
This man
Sam,
just
go
keeps
ahead.
lying. Last night he said at the debate that I asked him for a job in 2019 when my practice was prospering. Just ask my partner, Ron Resmini. It's just and now he's lying about crime stats, and he lied about Market Basket, what I did. Listen, I'm going to read you the first two paragraphs. He laughs like that when he's under pressure.
No, I'm not under
I'm going to
pressure.
read you
I
the
think it's
first
funny.
two. This is January 14th.
Go ahead. You have the
January
floor.
14th, 2014.
Yep.
Violent crime in Fall River has been decreasing for the past 3 years, especially shootings, which have fallen by more than 60% since 2011, officials said Tuesday. In 2013, the Spindle City also experienced fewer aggravated assaults, robberies, burglaries, and homicides than in 2011 and 2012, which continued a 3-year declining trend in those categories. Absent DA, you get the prosecutors here.
All right, let's
I
go.
was on them constantly. I went into the courtroom and did dangerousness hearings. I was an extremely hands-on DA, and he knows he's an absentee mayor.
All right, hold on.
Let me go.
Paul, I'm going to do something.
No,
for
let
you.
me show you.
No,
30
hold on one
seconds.
second.
Hold on.
Paul, I'm going to give you this
Property
article.
crimes.
No, I'm going to give you this article. There you go.
I have the
That's
data.
yours. That's your copy.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Okay,
go
there
ahead.
you go.
30 seconds,
Okay.
and we're going to a break. We are. Go ahead.
Wow.
Take 30 seconds,
Property
Mayor.
crimes in 2015, 175.90. 2015 violent crimes, 1011, now 853. When you don't show up for work, which is what he did when he was in government center, or as a DA, things get out of control. He was voted out by the people in 10 or 11 months because of his performance as mayor, and he was going to be voted out as district attorney.
Got to hold it there. We have to go to break.
No, I got to say something.
No,
I can't. I have to go to break.
When
You
I
can say
come back.
something. You can say something when we come back.
Beautiful.
Let's go to a break. We'll regroup, a couple more topics, then closing statements. Welcome back to our spirited debate for Fall River Mayor. Mayor Coogan, you accused him of being an absentee DA. You denied that. I'll give you both 20 seconds more if you want to finish that argument, because there are other things to talk about.
This was the referendum on how I was as DA. No opponent in 2010, no opponent in 2014. And when I ran against Bill Keating in 2012 for Congress, the people of Fall River voted for me 83% to 17% against an incumbent congressman. That's an endorsement for what I did as DA.
Right.
I didn't run from Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
I indicted Aaron
All right.
Hernandez.
Can I get
I
my
was the
time?
DA that stopped his shooting spree. And the reason why I didn't stay on board is because I wanted to be mayor of Fall River. The only reason I lost that election was because I put in a new fee in order to save police jobs, 25, firefighter jobs, 25, and city hall jobs, 25. And the people of Fall River were fed up with new taxes, just like they're fed up with tax increases now.
Okay,
And he's responsible.
Mayor, you respond. Go ahead.
Another one of his stories.
Look at the numbers.
He got voted out of office in Fall River because of his
Narrowly.
$10 fee, his lack of participation in government center. The people knew. This is a true story. I've talked to the department heads. Schedule a meeting with Sam at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He'll cancel. He was gone every day, taking the city car to go to tennis or something with his family. He was never there, so you scheduled at 3 o'clock. I want to sit with Sam today, 3 o'clock.
All right.
Oh, can't make it, because he was always absent.
Okay, you're going back and
The only
forth on
person that
personal
has
things and
ever
work.
questioned this, no, I'm going to say this right now.
hey,
To
is
the
this-
people
is
of Fall
this-
River,
is this-
the only person that has ever questioned my work ethic in the history of my life is this man.
And
that's
everybody in the
because he's-
building. And everybody in the building.
Bring this forward. And that's the laugh again. And that's because he's desperate. He knows
I'm
there
not
was a
desperate.
small turnout on September 19th, and there's going to be a big turnout on November 7th, and they're going to vote him out of office.
He was
Let's
telling
move on.
people
We're
he was
running
going
out
to
of
win
time.
the primary.
Go
He
ahead.
did
Let's
nothing.
move
Go
on.
ahead.
Economic development. Under Sam Sutter, my economic development plan will include what?
Developing the downtown, which is deserted because of him. Developing the Flint, which is deserted because of him. 61 businesses in the Flint have closed over the last 4 or 5 years. Developing the waterfront fairly. not a rigged game for his friends. Those 19 to 21 acres, that is the future of Fall River, with the train coming down, with the waterfront waiting to be developed, with the downtown deserted, with the Flint deserted. Look at what I did in 2015, finalizing Amazon, bringing Market Basket, bringing the development of the mall, bringing the expansion of small businesses. I am a pro-business, I will be a pro-business mayor, but I will do it fairly.
Okay.
It won't be a rigged game as it is
let's
for
go.
you.
I got a chance.
Alan
Mayor,
Macomber getting the armory.
Mayor Coogan, you go now.
Go ahead.
Under your
He closed the armory. This is why it's hysterical in our
come
city. He
on,
closed
please.
the armory down, no plan to ever open it, and now he brings it up like it's a hammer against me. Let's talk about small business. How about the small business that do business with Sam Sutter as a campaign person? He doesn't even pay his bills. I'm going to give you a copy, Gene. He wanted proof last night. Oh, I need proof? Well, here's proof. You stiffed a company out of Boston that was your consultants, Sensi and Siccardi. You paid them. The campaign ended in 15. He finally gave them some money in 19. He's still short. We have a gentleman down the street on County Street, a small Fall River business. He still owes them money. I have the text messages and the evidence
Mayor,
here.
can I
under here.
redirect you on economic
But my
development?
position
He's
is, how
saying
is it-
Flint, he's
how
saying
can-
Flint
how-
is in bad shape.
Jason
But the
Connie,
waterfront- no,
Jason
let him
Connie and I are friends.
Let's
Okay,
finish
hold on, hold on, hold on.
development.
I have the bill
Nice
here.
try.
You
You
want
take that out of
paper.
your
Yes.
closing argument.
That's right. That's
Finish
right.
on
It's a
economic
nice try,
development.
Paul.
Go ahead.
Economic development, the Flint. We've had 4 neighborhood meetings where we discussed what we were going to do with the Flint. He never showed up at one. These were public meetings to get feedback from the community, what they were looking for. The first one was attended by 7,500 people. No Sam Sutter. We've since gone through our urban redevelopment plan in the Flint. Which buildings are targeted for demolition? Which buildings are targeted for rehabilitation? He's never been to anything. But now when he's running for a campaign, and the Flint, he was supposed to get back to us on a building down there that he alleges he represents the Flint Neighborhood Association. He sent the text message, you'll hear from me Monday. That was a week, 10 days ago. We've never heard from him again. That's his follow through and his work ethic. This is a client he brought into Government Center. He doesn't even follow up for a Flint Neighborhood
Okay.
Association.
I will give you 30 seconds. We must hit our closings on time. 30 seconds to rebut what you
I'll
just
say
said.
once again, I'll outwork Paul Coogan and every day of every week, and everybody knows it. While he was putting his feet up on a desk, getting paid by the public sector, I was grinding it out in courtrooms every single day, making clients happy in the private sector. I don't think he ever spent a day in the private
No,
sector.
I did.
And I don't owe Arthur Cabral a dime. But let me.
You
let me
don't owe-
I don't owe him a
His
dime.
name's Piver, but that's okay because you know the Flint so well, Arthur Piver.
No, I'm not talking about that.
You said Arthur Cabral.
And Gene, when I was district attorney, I regularly went to neighborhood associations in Fall River,
Yeah.
and I never saw him between 2007
years
and
ago.
2014.
Okay, guys, that's it.
Okay.
We gave you a warning. It's hard close. We must go to closing arguments. Please address camera 4. Sam Sutter by roll of the coin. You go first. Your closing argument, please.
Thank you. People of Fall River, you have a clear choice on November 7th. Paul Coogan, who in 4 years has never demonstrated the work ethic or the skill to be the leader of our city, a phantom mayor who knowingly misrepresents the seriousness of our crime problem, who abandons his responsibility to address the critical housing and rent crises we face, and who hasn't made the slightest attempt to stop the never-ending tax increases and uncontrolled spending, 68 new jobs, we can't afford it, that's hurting the average citizen. Instead, he's shown his total inability to lead our city with decisiveness. This lack of leadership has created chaos in our city departments. His failure to hold department heads accountable has resulted in staggering costs in legal fees and legal settlements. How can he, after 2 terms on the school committee and 2 terms as chairman of the school committee, explain why we have no progressive discipline plan and zero tolerance plan? I'm ready to lead on day 1. You will see a much improved city if I'm mayor within 1 year.
Thank you. Let's go to you, Mayor Coogan. You have the last word. Go ahead.
Again, if anyone believes that, I have some oceanfront property in Wyoming you can buy. My position is this absentee mayor, I brought up work ethic, now he talks about work ethic because he wants to shield people from knowing what he's done. It's my position that there is a difference between words and actions, and one on this stage has an unwavering presence in the community. One of us has 4 years of experience in managing the city, building a budget, and resolving conflict and crisis. That's why Republicans like Charlie Baker and Karen Polito have endorsed my candidacy, as well as Democrats like Governor Maura Healey, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, and Congressman Jake Auchincloss. The momentum and relationships I have built in this office are important to continue to move Fall River forward. the way to go is not take an absentee person who's been gone for a decade and try to bring them back. Look at my skills, experience, and work ethic, and it will lead the city forward. I humbly ask for your vote on November 7th.
Mayor, thank you, and thanks to both
Thanks,
of you for
Gene.
coming in
Paul,
a very
good job.
spirited debate.
Thank you.
And we like to see people shake hands. Viva Fall
Do you-
River. Stay just where
Sam,
you
do you
are.
want this? Do you want the bills?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sure you can exchange your paperwork.
Okay.
That's it for us. Thanks for joining us. See you next
Thanks.
week.
The last time you loaned